mountain. And he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moshe rose early in the morning and went up Mount Sinai, as the Creator had commanded him, and he took 2 tablets of stone in his hand. So we fortunate for Moshe, he got new tablets, right? And we see parents even do that today. Children, they buy tablets to the children, and when it's broken, somehow for the comforts of the child, we see the tablet restored more quickly than you would expect. So that is it that the parents can afford it, or is it a case where the parent can't take the crying? So because of that, the child is actually given another one. This is a different situation because it's not the tablet that the literal tablet that we know today. It is actually where the commands were written down, right? And the same words that were written already, those had to be done again, except that this point would have been written by Moshe, right? He got instruction to not let anybody come up with him, and as for most of the instructions for that Moshe received, he would actually start carrying out those instructions as early as the following morning. He was to be ready, right? Because it was a special assignment coming up for him to be a part of. And of course, Moshe, he rose up early and he was precisely obeying the commands of the Creator, carrying the 2 carved tablets up to the mountain. Right, we see where renewal requires effort and preparation, and so he didn't just decide to do it on his own time, but he actually did it at the soonest time that the Creator instructed him to do. Right, that was set apart business, and even when we get instructions from the Creator and we may not have carried it out correctly, or we have broken his promise, our commitments, right? We're seeing in this that broken things can be restored with the same words. All right, so that's what we gleaned from that part of the reading. We should note that he was told to go alone, without people or without animals. And it was a time for deep concentration and focus. And sometimes it's best for us to be by ourselves. We get to meditate more deeply, and we get to be more focused and not distracted. Right? So it was a set apart place, and it called for a set apart preparation. Let's read from verses 5 through to 9. And it says, "And the Creator came down in the cloud and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name the Creator. And he passed before him and proclaimed the Creator, and El, compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in loving commitment and truth, watching over loving commitment for thousands, forgiving crookedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children, unto and the children's children, to the 3rd and the 4th generation. And Moshe hurried and bowed himself toward the earth, and did obeisance, and said, If now I have found favor in your eyes, O Creator, I pray that the Creator go on in our midst, even though we are a stiff-necked people, and forgive our crookedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance." So there we have it. Some of the attributes of the Creator actually being proclaimed. If we look at it again, we see in verse 5, he came down in a cloud, and what was proclaimed is what we are to pay keen attention to. Proclaimed Creator, that's the name mentioned twice, and when something is repeated, it's for emphasis. we also note that he's compassionate, right? He's compassionate, showing favor, and we get what do all these mean? He is merciful to those who sin, who is merciful before sin, and he's actually merciful. He will always remain merciful, right? So before we sin and after we sin, he's still merciful to us, and it's not something for us to abuse because we know, right? It says El, which in Hebrew is the two letter words, the Aleph and the Lamed, which means the direction, and the Aleph meaning the ox, right? So strength, right? So it's a powerful ruler, right? Compassionate, filled with loving sympathy. Who is like that? Do we know anyone like that? No, we don't know anyone like that, right? He preserves loving kindness for thousands of generations. And there's an inverse, because we will see that when it comes to the iniquity and the crookedness, it only extends to the third and fourth generation. So when it comes to loving kindness and favor, he stretches it for 1,000 generations. But when it comes to crookedness, it's actually stretched just for 3 to 4 generations. So he is ready to acquit those who repent, and he remembers the sins for those who ate him, but just up to the third and fourth generation. What about his goodness? Well, it's 5 times the retribution that he 500 times, because 4 times into 1,000. It's maybe like 250, right? But it's far more merciful. That's the maths I'm trying to project. All right. So Moshe, having heard that, we see in verse 8, he hurriedly bowed down himself and stretched out prostrate, and he worshipped the Creator himself, right? And did he say anything? He said, "If now I've found favor in your eyes, I pray, let go, right? And forgive our crookedness." So Moshe asked, "Go in our midst, forgive our iniquity, and take us as your inheritance," pleading for both closeness and a special status. What is the lesson that we learn from this? Right, he reveals that his mercy and his character, and not his power. Repentance is always possible while he is slow to anger. Knowing his name is knowing his nature, and that's what we will learn every day. And when we read this, do we just read it, or does it impress upon us to treat others in similar stead? Right? Can we extend these attributes to those that we interact with? Can we be slow to anger? How difficult it is to exercise, let's say, how can we exercise restraint when we are angered, right? Let us try to be gracious to even those who do not merit it, because some persons deliberately may try to provoke, but we can actually make the effort to exercise restraint and show compassion and mercy and love, and it will heave in some words, it will be a great inspiration, and will probably leave those who try to intimidate, leave them in quandary and wondering, that considering that they're not deserving of it. So we see here, we're going to read some more. We're going to read from 10 onwards. And he said, "See, I'm making a covenant before all your people. I'm going to do wonders such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you shall see the work of the Creator. For what I am doing with you is awesome." Right? "Guard what I command you today. See, I'm driving out from before you the Amorite and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Guard yourself, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. But break down the slaughter places, and smash their pillars, and cut down their Aharon. For you do not bow yourselves to another mighty one, for the Creator whose name is jealous is a jealous El, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they swore after their mighty ones, and slaughtered to their mighty ones, and one of them invites you, and you eat of his slaughterings, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters war after their mighty ones, and make your sons war after their mighty ones. Do not make a molded mighty one for yourselves. Alright, so there we see some cautions there. Some of us, if we're not careful, will skip over that and play it down as nothing. Right? We don't want, but this is what the command actually says from verse 10, that this, what the Creator is doing for us is awesome, and because of that we are special people, right? And because of that, much is required of us. He's saying, guard what I command you today. That word is a very potent word. It's actually very suggestive that it's, you not just observe nor remember, but you guard, keep. All those words seem strong security of what, and enforcement of what the Creator instructs. We see here the 6 of the 7 nations that were to be driven out. The Girgashites, they would have escaped and make good on their opportunity to not try to thwart the plans of the Creator when it comes to his people. Do not make a covenant. Covenant is a big thing. Covenant is something that both parties are expected to uphold, right? And when you go into this land, you're not going there to make friends, right? Because at the end of the day, they don't ever want to be your friends. It just looks like a nice thing to do, but we're cautioned lest it be a snare in your midst. It's going to come back and haunt you. Because first of all, when everybody's coming in association together, what will happen is that they're going to invite your children to the barbecue, right? And it's innocent. But when you send your child to the barbecue, they're going to give your child pork and shrimps and things that you do not uphold in your house. And before you know, we have intermingling, and then the children start date, and of course they become adults, and they realize that you have allowed it from the beginning, so you can actually direct them in any path of later. Not that I'm saying that is prescribed or that is wrong, but there is a way or that Israel was to interact with the nations, and it's very much pointed out that we must not have a covenant. Every time I see the word jealous, the Creator is a jealous El, right? He's a jealous mighty one. Do not bow yourselves to another mighty one. Every other chapter that we will read, we're going to realize that Israel is cautioned against having other mighty ones, right? And once you start, that is one hell to actually rid yourself from that kind of interaction and that kind of relationship. You take his daughter for your sons, and his daughters war after their mighty ones. So men and boys, sometimes they are strong-willed, and they will see what they want and look on the external and find relationships with other nations cool and exciting. But when they marry to that wife, that's an idolater. That wife is going to bring more idolatry within the home, and that's something that you do not want to be a part of. So you have to learn to know what you want from early and set your standards, and also ensure that what you're doing is what the creator wants. It's fine if you did not know before, but once you know, you're to make you're to ensure that you're not the one that be led, but you actually maintain what you're called to do. All right, next section says guard, verse 18. Guard the festival of Matzot. For 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, in the appointed time of the new moon of Abib, because in the new moon of Abib you came out from Mitzrayim. Everyone opening the womb is mine, and every male firstborn among your livestock, whether bull or sheep, but firstborn of a donkey you shall ransom with a lamb. And if you do not ransom, then you shall break his neck. And every firstborn of your sons you shall ransom, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. Okay, so we see the festival is more pronounced. We have read that in Shemot, Exodus chapter 12, about Matzot. It comes again, and what we're going to realize, the things that are repeated 2, 3, 4 times in the Torah are very, very, very important, as much important. And so we must guard that too. Mean not read, not just observe, not just practice ourselves, but protect. Right now we're coming up to where I've approached the 12th new moon, and the next new moon should mark the commencement of another Torah year. And how many persons have taken the time out to witness the renewed full moon last night, showing that this is actually a 4th day. We recall when the new moon was established, it was on day 4, right? And 3 days later there would be the Shabbat. All right, not just that, how it's kept, you're to eat unleavened bread, so don't miss that, right? And it's an appointment, so we should always prepare ourselves and try not to miss it. Let's read on. 19. Everyone opening the womb is mine, and every male firstborn among your livestock, whether bull or sheep. But the firstborn of a donkey you ransom with a lamb, and if you do not ransom, then you shall break his neck. Every firstborn of your sons you shall ransom, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. All right, so we're seeing the emphasis on firstborn, and we're seeing that the firstborn is, by definition, the one that opens the womb, right? And the Creator claimed the newborn, the firstborn of Israel, as we see where he destroyed the firstborn of Mitzrayim to protect it, and that as a result of doing that for Israel, he actually adopted the firstborn of the children of Israel. And of course, and not just for human beings, but even for animals, firstborn, those who open the animals, it seems to be that they are firstborn animals as well, right? And the firstborn donkey ransom with a lamb, and if you not ransom, then you shall break his neck. So it doesn't make sense to break a donkey's neck, so might as well you use the donkey as a ransom. And of course, every firstborn of your sons shall ransom. It's very important that we do not appear before the Creator empty-handed. All the blessings that we have, we should not be on our pomp and our pride for it, because it's He that allowed us to be beneficiaries and recipients of all His favor. So we should always be prepared to give back. Teach our children to give, teach them to save, and teach them to give. And when we come to those 3 appointments, we should always have something to share. All right, and that is also one of the appointments. Pesach. Let's look at the other one. We see not in the same order as in Leviticus, but verse 21 says, 6 days you work, but on the 7th day you rest. In plowing time and in harvest you rest. And perform the festival of Shabbat yourself, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering. at the turn of the year. 3 times in the year, all your men are to appear before the Master, the Creator of the Elohim of Israel. In Leviticus, we actually saw the 7th-day command coming before Pesach. Here we actually seen Pesach mentioned first. So it is a suggestion that maybe the feast days are not listed in chronological order, or it was, but not in this instance. Shavuot, that one in one chapter suggests that it is 7 Shabbats after Pesach, and then after Shavuot, and it's marked by the harvest, the first fruits. One thing we would note is that the agricultural cycle worldwide is not standard, it's not the same, right? You may have apple in the Caribbean in summer, but you might have it in North America in spring. So it is not easy to actually use that as the only marker to mark times. That would not be the best thing to do. For Sukkot, it says it is at the turn of the year, and for those who study the Shemaim, the events, you will notice how the stars interact with the moon at certain times, certain months of the year, and that those are like minute or second hands on a clock. So if we really want to be serious about the appointment, then we should take some time to do that. And every year, all the men should go, and of course, these men must not be single, right? That's not a part of the Torah culture where men are single. Men should have their wives with them going to these sacred appointments, and the children, right? So, and that's why you'll see men and no other with him, because the men were, and men to this day should remain the leaders in their families, right? They're not to let their wives tell them how to keep appointments or how to direct the operations of the home, because the Creator has blessed both with special functions and responsibilities, and He ensures that the man protects and provides and cares for his wife, well, not for his wife, for his entire family, right? And of course, he must not take on any other wife unless he can afford and maintain the benefits of his first wife. But just to say that only men are told to go up every 3 years, and it's really men and their families. That's the point. Let's read on some more. Do not slay the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of the Pesach remain until morning. Bring the first fruits of your land to the house of the Creator your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And Creator said to Moshe, write these words, for according to the mouth of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Right, so we're seeing Pesach mentioned again. It was mentioned earlier when it was Matzah, then Shavuot, and then Sukkot. And now we're seeing Pesach. And what is it being highlighted about Pesach here? Do not slay the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of Pesach remain until morning. Okay, so basically whenever it's being performed, everything must be eaten, right? And none of it should remain until morning. Excuse me. So we see this mention about do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk again. It usually turns up sudden in some other narrative in Torah, and while we do not know anybody that does that today, it may have been done before, right? A young goat could be a goat 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 7 days old, and of course there's a command that mentions that you do not separate a goat from the mother before 8 days, so that that is a supporting reference to it. These are things not for Moshe to keep in his head, but for him to write down these words. And just reading this could be the point where the Torah was actually given to Moshe in its fullness, and everything was written out. I know we still have to answer who wrote the death of Moshe in Torah, right? But in terms of everything else, this would be the point where Moshe was told to write down everything according to the covenant. Verse 28. And he was there 40 days with the Creator, 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread, and he did not drink water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, 10 words. It came to be when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the 2 tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone, since he had spoken with him. And Aharon and all the children of Israel looked at Moshe and saw the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near to him. But Moshe called out to them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moshe spoke to them. And after all the children of Israel came near, and he commanded them all that had spoken with the Creator had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moshe ended speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But Moshe went in before the Creator to speak with him. He would remove the veil until he came out. When he came out, he spoke to the children of Israel what he had been commanded. And the children of Israel would see the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone, and Moshe would put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with him. Alright, so there we have Moshe. There was glory reflecting from his face, because having gone up to the mountain, gone closer to the Creator, literally, the power would have when you spend time with the Creator, there's something that reflects differently from you, and sometimes you might not be cognizant of it, right? But Aaron and the people could have noticed this, right? This was a time, it didn't say Moshe was actually on fasting. It just said that he did not eat bread and he did not drink water. There are other parts of the Bible of the Torah that said you must not eat, but it does not use the word fasting. But nowadays we associate the word fasting with not eating bread and drinking, right? But that's an English application of the instruction, right? So here we see fasting. We do not see anything that he was instructed to do that. It was just an observation that he did not drink water. So we have persons practicing now, wanting to reflect the glory of the Creator and believing that if you fast more, then this will allow radiance to project from your appearance, from your face. Right. The children saw his skin and it shone, and of course I can just imagine when Moshe spoke to them, how it affected their eyes. Fortunately, he put a veil on his face, and that actually made a difference. When the Creator, there was another chapter where we read where the Creator came down and presented himself in the midst of the people, and we didn't see the people complain. It's just that the noise was the issue. But here we see Moshe is there, and it affected him. So being the presence of the Creator, we will reflect what he is and who he is. Very interesting chapter, and I trust that as we continue to read these continue this series in Shemot, we'll see that the Creator gives a second chance in terms of the tablets. He also Moshe was also obedient and was precise in following the Creator. We see the reiteration of the appointments and the Shabbat, and very important for us to guard, and also we're to guard our sons and our daughters from participating in idolatry, and it's a dangerous practice, it's a dangerous precedence, and there are consequences of further break away when these things are left unchecked. But on a high note, the chapter closed, which showed that when Moshe, we missed the attributes of the Creator, that those attributes are copyable, and he is more merciful and show more favor than anything than wanting to give retribution, and that is something that we should take a copy of. Alright, so we'll continue the series tomorrow on the book of Shemot. Shalom, shalom.